So you may have ran across some videos or information pointing out how some of this pine cone symbolism, which is prevalent in several different religions such as Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, even ancient Egyptian, these New Age philosophers try to equate it with the pineal gland in the human body, located in the brain. But some of my own research has led me to the Garden of Eden and the Garden of the Gods, which was a Sumerian paradise. If you research the Epic of Gilgamesh here, Gilgamesh travels to the Garden of the Gods through the cedar forest. It's the mountain of cedar villain, Mashu is. What is this cedar forest that has the cedars of Lebanon? Cedars of Lebanon. It's like a pine tree. It has a pine cone. What's that? Pine tree with a pine cone? The Hebrew priests were ordered by Moses to use the bark of the Lebanon cedar in the treatment of leprosy. The Hebrew prophet Isaiah used Lebanon cedar as a metaphor for the pride of the world. The cedars of God, which is this Cedars Lebani, cedars of Lebanon. Why they have two different pages here, don't know. But who used the ancient cedars of God here? The Phoenicians, the Egyptians, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Romans, the Israelites. The wood was used by Egyptians for shipbuilding. It was also used by the Phoenicians. But what's neat is that this mountain of Mashu, or the mountain's name is Mashu here. Bohl, a researcher, highlighted that the word in Sumerian means twins, located between Mount Lebanon and Mount Hermon. Now, the two mountain ranges are interesting to me because in Egyptian mythology here, at the source of the Nile is two mountains in the east and the west, mark the places where the sun enters and exits the Duat, which is like the Egyptian version of heaven. The mountains of the moon, legendary mountain or mountain range in East Africa. Also important to the ancient Africans. Some mountains. Now, what's important is that, like I said, there are timekeeping devices that were used in ancient times. I've said this in previous videos. The moon is the most obvious and was probably the first timekeeping device. So the first peoples most likely used the moon as a timekeeping device, which runs on a 28-day calendar. Later on, the Egyptians came in with their solar calendar. And then this began a battle, if you will, between the lunar and the solar cults. And throughout time, there's even been incorporation of the two, and even if you study Hindu astrology and such like this, thousands of years ago, they were aware of the time periods and the orbits, and used those, or could use those as timekeeping devices and calendars of their own right. So the Venus orbit could as well be a timekeeping device used by other cults. Like I said, the Egyptians used the sun, the ancient Hebrews and the Sumerians appear to have used the moon. But to further my point, some scholars believe that Mount Sinai was of ancient sanctity prior to the ascent of Moses described in the Bible. Scholars have theorized that Sinai, in part, derived its name from the word for moon, which was sin, meaning the moon, or to shine. So, Mount Sinai, which is definitely one of the most important mountains mentioned in the Bible, of special reverence, is directly related to the moon. Again, timekeeping device, possibly. All of the Jewish and Hebrew holidays are based around timing of the moon. And even the Roman Catholic religion, which is a solar-based religion, still incorporates the ancient holidays revolving around the moon. Of course, they also, have their own with the Saturnalia type holiday, which interestingly has to deal with the 3 days in which the sun seems to stop. In the Epic of Gilgamesh here, the name of the mountain is Meshu, as he arrives at the mountain as Meshu, which every day keeps watch over the rising and setting of the sun. So it's basically acting like a giant sundial, so that the people can tell what time it is, what time, the season it is. So when people talk about the pine cone being some kind of pineal gland in the human brain, just refer them back to this cedar of Lebanon, pine cone, and how the cedar was revered by the ancients for shipbuilding and possibly other symbolic uses. Like I said, in the winter, it is the only tree, the evergreens are the only ones that retain their green leaves, which would have seemed magical to ancient people, right? Boom, 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 boom. I don't know, you tell me. The fact that it was revered and is still revered by kings, and there's a great, Lebanese flag. There's a great effort and movement to try to rebuild these, repopulate the cedar forests. You tell me what's going on. Is it the pineal gland, really? Or is it just the fact that the pine tree here, the cedar, was revered in ancient times, and throughout history, the symbolism continued as being a tree of God, or one of the trees in the garden of the gods.